What's up, guys? We're back, ready to make another video, giving you guys some more knowledge, right? This video is about reading books. I know. You guys are like, what? Books? What is this guy talking about? He's talking about books. Yes, books. Something that you read, gets your mind going, stimulates your mind. Books actually have a lot of benefits that people don't know about. And some people say that it's just cope. Some people say it's really not that helpful. It's just like watching a movie. And some people say it's actually extremely helpful, help them do this certain amount of things, help them with all these skills or things in their life that they needed help with, you know. So we're here to really dissect, are books really helpful? Are they really necessary to your everyday life? Do you need to add them to your daily routine? Do you need to read 10 pages a day? Do you need to read a chapter a day, a page a day? Do you need to incorporate reading on a daily basis? We're going to go over all of that. And if so, what do you need to be reading? We're going to be going through all of that in this video. So I'm just going to start by giving a background on me and my reading. I started off from first grade to fourth grade. I used to read 2 books every single day. Every single day I used to read 2 chapter books, not picture books, not Captain Underpants, but that was actually a pretty big book. It was a chapter book. So books kind of like that, actually, just chapter books. We used to have this thing called AR points. And if you read a chapter book, it's 1 point. If you read like a tiny picture book, it's half a point, and so on. Harry Potter books were like 7 points, 8 points. So you guys get the gist of that. But I was like, wow, and then at the end of the year, there was the AR bookstore, or AR, it was like AR Fair Day or something. You get all your AR points. You go in the library and they have a whole bunch of prizes. They got all these toys and video games and stuff like that, computer games that you can go buy with your AR points. So I was like, wow. As a poor, not affluent child that was just neglected from birth. No, I'm kidding. I didn't have a lot of toys though. My parents were, I'm Nigerian, so first generation Americans. So they didn't really, believe in, hey, sonny boy, let's go get you a Nintendo DS. Hey, let's go get you some video games. Hey, let's go get you the newest Halloween costume that you want. You kind of had to makeshift here and there. Maybe we'd get a video game for my brother, which I had to, hey, you done playing that? You got to figure things out when you're a kid. So that's kind of how it was for me for the most part. So when the AR thing came around, I was like, this is a really big opportunity for me. I took it as an opportunity. That's how I looked at it. So I was reading a lot, reading 2 books from then on. And then when I got into middle school, I didn't read at all because they didn't have the AR points anymore. So I was like, why am I going to read books? Right? Of course, we read the books that we read in class, but it was very few. It wasn't as often as I was reading it before. And I honestly think that reading 2 books from first grade to fourth grade, I think it really set me up to be, kind of more cognitively inclined, positively inclined, when it comes to just conceptualizing ideas, conceptualizing patterns and things like that. I feel like I just have a little bit more of a up on people on that. I can kind of see, okay, this happened here. This is happening here. He's saying this, but this is what this really means. He's doing this because he feels like this. It's just a little bit more experience, because a person can only live so long and do so much and experience so much. We can only go to so many places and meet so many people. So in order to like fast track that a little bit, you can read somebody else's experiences, because you know what they say, smart people learn from their mistakes, wise people learn from others' mistakes. So you can read a book about whoever, a war general from the 1200s, the 1300s, 1400s. You could read about him and all the mistakes he made, about his fallen empire and what he should have done and how he should have marched with his men to war, what fashion he should have done it. And you can learn from him. And then you can read the Bible and learn from Paul or Job. And then you can read, any other book that you want to learn from them. I see it as a fast track, right? I see it as a fast track to like gain the knowledge and experience that you might not have been able to gain, right, if you hadn't read the book. So continuing with my life story, my illustrious life story. When I got into high school, still wasn't reading anything. I was playing football at this point, so I was D1, and I played Texas high school football, varsity. You know how we rock. I was D1. So that pretty much means in Texas that you're a celebrity. You're pretty much Jake Paul at your school. If you're a D1 football player in Texas, Texas high school football, that's like a religion. So, I was walking around the school, Michael B. Jordan status. So, of course, I wasn't going to pick up a book. I had no reason to at the time, right? College goes around, still getting that type of clout, still getting that type of status. So, again, not reading books. But after that, after I dropped out, I don't play football anymore. Things got pretty tough for me. So I knew I had to better myself. I knew I had to self-improve from there. I knew I had to change some things around. So I kind of threw away my bad habits, smoking weed, drinking, going to the club, things like that, partying. And I started reading books again. And I started to see a definite positive impact on just my social cognitive functions. And it's just really for the brain. I started to see a difference in my brain function. I'm starting to maybe a little bit more creative too. My vocabulary is getting better again, back to the way it was, and I was just able to conceptualize things and just make sense of things in the world that was happening a little bit better, right? I was just a little bit more keen, a little bit more sharp, and a little bit more intelligent, So, as you can see, that's a pretty positive response to books. That's a positive take on books. And, this video is books cope. So we got to look at the other side of things, because I gave you my side. Of course, you can kind of see I'm pro books. All right. I'm pro books. Books did help me a lot. But there are a lot of people that have come out and kind of been anti-books. I did see like an Andrew Tate video of him saying he doesn't read books. He said books is too slow. It takes too long to read a book. He needs to just get the knowledge like that. Boom. I think he said documentaries are better, or like videos or movies or something. It's just faster, or an audio book or something. Forgot what his substitute was, but I do remember him saying that reading is too slow, And I understand that. Honestly, I do understand that. I do get where he's coming from with that stance. That does make a lot of sense. But I would say that there's just nothing that you can compare to reading, like reading a book, right? You can watch a movie, you can watch a movie, but it's not going to give you the same cognitive benefits, the same, because it takes a lot of focus to read a book. A lot of people are going to open a book, read a page, go to the next page, and just completely forget about the previous page they already read, right? Because they don't read. They don't do this long form learning. They're like, boom, attention span of a goldfish. They're just here and there, right? So if they go to reading books, they start reading a book, they're going to realize, oh, shoot, I don't even know what I just read. They're going to go back, read. Well, they're not going to do that because they're goldfish in a human body. But, bump their IQ points up a little bit. They would go back and they would read again. Be like, okay, I didn't gather the information the first time. Let me just go back. Try to read again, go to the next page. Okay, I got it. Go to the next page. Wait, hold on. What was the last page? Go back. And then you're going to start to retrain your brain a little bit to focus. That's something that books help you a lot with. Focus. You can focus on things. And a lot of people have trouble with that. So I don't think you would get that same skill watching it in a movie or a TV show or like a documentary or audio book or something that you could just do simultaneously while you're doing another activity. But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like read the whole day, like spend the whole day reading. I wake up and read 10 pages, 10, 12 pages to 15 to 20, depending on how much time I have. And, that's enough reading for me for the day. Other than tweets, I'll read a tweet or two for the day. But that's what I would say. And other than that, and, I've heard people say that reading is just like Netflix. It's just like entertainment. It's fiction, it's entertainment, it's a movie, it's a TV show. It's just like watching Harry Potter. And like I said, I'm going to have to disagree with that just because reading words is just different. Because when you're reading these words, now these words are coming to life in your brain, right? You're seeing these words, you're seeing these people, you're seeing these events play out in your brain. So your brain is working now. Your brain is active. Your brain is painting a picture for you. Your brain is wiring, firing. But when you're just looking at a movie that's already made, your brain is not doing much. It's just looking at something, So I think reading is just, it gives you an edge on people for sure. It gives you an edge on people for sure. And since we're life maxers here on this channel, you guys know we're life maxing. We got to upgrade our stats. We got to upgrade our XP on every single category that we can. So I would say books are non-negotiable. I would read every day. Now, here's something that really took books to the next level for me. I think this is super important. This is an exercise that nobody really does. Nobody really does it. I think it's extremely helpful. I think it's an amazing skill. It's just one of the best exercises that people don't do, and I would do it every single day if I was you guys. Read out loud. Read out loud. Read out loud. And when you read out loud, because I know, look, you guys got PTSD from popcorn reading back in the 3rd grade. I know. I know you don't want to, but your 8th grade crush she can't hear you anymore. Now is a time that you can really read. You can really pronunciate the words. You can really try to almost act it out in a way, because the sentences are structured in a way that a person said these things. You know, they're structured in a way that a person talks. So if you were extremely like socially, you just couldn't understand social cues or social speech, or your communication was just like very robot like, you know what I'm saying? You just weren't really socially adept. I would read out loud because it's going to kind of build your framework, your social framework, because it's almost like you are in a social position reading the book because you're taking on somebody else's dialogue and they aren't socially, you know, what's the word? A social nincompoop. You know, these are great figures, great historical figures, amazing fictional complex characters, people that are too deep to understand, people that are so deep and complex and intellectual, they're not even real. So you get to place yourself in their shoes and take on their dialogue, and you can act it out as you. I mean, it's just a great thing. I mean, you could read The Hunger Games. You could be Katniss. You can be Katniss Everdeen. You could read Harry Potter. You can be Ron Weasley. You know, you can read whatever book you want. You could read the Bible and be every person. You could be Moses. You know, you got to talk like Moses would. You can't talk like a beta because we know Moses wasn't a beta. You know, you got to take on the character. Or you could just talk how you would want to talk, how you envision yourself talking when you're at your peak communication skills, when you're at your peak social skills. How would you want to sound? How would you want to come off? How would you want to convey yourself? And you could just do that. But I would say when you are reading out loud, because you guys should take on this exercise because it's life changing. Absolutely. If you do it every single day, it's just going to transform your communication skills to a point where you're almost unrecognizable, honestly. Because if you guys think back to middle school, right, when you were doing popcorn reading, when you first did it, you were kind of trash. You were kind of bad at it. You know, you were stumbling over your words. You weren't confident. You had that little raspy, low volume voice. You didn't really want to put your all into it because maybe your friend was like next to you, like, bro, like reading is lame. So you didn't really want to like come off like you were just an obsessed, dedicated reader. So, you know, maybe you saw the potential in that exercise, but you didn't really utilize it at the time because it wasn't cool. Now you're an adult, you're trying to make money, it's 2025. Social skills and communication is the most important skill to have. There's no excuses now. Otherwise, you're just going to get left behind. You're just going to get left behind. So, yeah, I mean, this is very important to pick up. And books are positive. I would read 15 to 20 pages a day. If you can do it in the morning, that's good. Evening, afternoon, whichever way you can fit it into your schedule. You know, I would read things that I'm particularly doing in my craft so I can become a specialist, so I can become a master of my craft. So right now I'm trading stocks, right? So I'm reading Market Wizards, which is a trading book. It's like a famous trading book that everybody knows. So I read that every day, 15, 20 pages out loud. Don't forget the out loud part because that's the most important part. I want you to pronunciate all your words, and I want you to be reading it at a high volume, like you're giving a speech at the RNC or the DNC, whichever side you're on. like you're giving a speech on the podium. That's how I want you to read. Like you have to just illuminate your voice throughout the whole ballroom. That's how I want you to read the book. But whatever you're doing, whatever your endeavor is in life, why not go on Google and type in top 10 ice cream books? Maybe you open up an ice cream store. Top 10 ice cream books. Get the ice cream books, read them all out loud. You would just get so much better just by doing that. It's unbelievable. Maybe you're a rapper. Top 10 books about music. Top 10 books that would, hey Siri, what's the top 10 books that would help me become a better music artist? Oh, here's 10 books. Blah, blah. Just don't even ask anybody, just buy all of them. Go on Amazon, buy all of them. Don't ask any questions. Cuz you're investing in yourself. You shouldn't even hesitate. You're investing in yourself. Right? So when you're going and playing video games or going to the club or doing something that's not going to help you at all, that's something you should think about. But when you're investing in yourself with books that are absolutely directly, positively influencing your skill, your dedication in life that you love to do, that's not something you think about. That's something you just do. Let's say you're in sales. Hey Siri, can I get the top 10 sales books that would make me a better salesman? Yeah, here you go. Here's the top 10 sales book. Buy them all. Don't even ask questions. Don't even ask questions. Hey, well, Andrew, I put them in my cart and it's like $106. Oh, you got a car? Yeah. DoorDash. You can get $100 tonight on DoorDash. And then after you're done delivering sandwiches to Randy down the street, come back, you feel accomplished that you just did a good job, you did a good thing, you made a good step in life, and order those books. That's the second step. Now you know hard work, and you're going to be dedicated and you're going to become better. It's a win-win. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. And we can make this our year. We just got to move smart. We got to be dedicated. We got to be disciplined. We got to do the small things. We got to do the big things. But we got to do it every day.